episode 20 on the Shelf the series. Thanks for joining us on this magical Sunday, or Monday, or Tuesday, or whatever day you're watching it. My name is Mike. Today, we have with us Ashley. Ashley, how's things today?
Hello, doing good. I am super excited to chat with you about all kinds of fun geek stuff and collecting.
Awesome. I'm so excited. Actually, I ran into Ashley on this Facebook page that we both belong to called ESO Network. ESO Network is like a chain, a conglomeration, a mishmash of different podcasts and all different types of groups that like are all into collecting and sci-fi stuff and everything. And Ashley posted a very interesting article, which we're going to get into in a little while. But first, Ashley, tell everybody at home a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I am a blogger and podcaster with the Earth Station One network. I started out just writing blogs for them, and then over time have gotten to appear on the podcast, talking mostly about movies and TV shows. And kind of the interesting coincidence with the article as well is that this year I've been struggling to find new stuff to write about. Of course, with the pandemic, surprise, lots of stuff being canceled.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it'd be fun to write about collecting and see what other people enjoy and to share a little bit about my collection. So I'm super pumped to be able to chat more about it with you.
Absolutely. And I'm super happy to have you here. Now, I'm not looking down because I'm ignoring you. I want to bring the article up because print is dead. So I'm not printing it out and bringing it and killing a tree here. I want to actually bring it up and share with the class what the name of your article was. And it was actually called What's on Your Shelf. So of course, the title kind of spoke to me. So after reading it and stuff and seeing some awesome stuff in this article, I kind of want to read like the very beginning of it because it meant a lot to me and it meant a lot to a lot of collectors, and not the part about tossing your computer in a dumpster because nobody wants that.
No, don't do that.
No, but you were on social media and you said that you saw a couple posts and I know you know where it was, and we'll leave where the post came from out, but it said that there were two posts that stuck with you, and that one was making fun of people who collect Funko Pops and the other was making fun of people who collect action figures, and that the basic summary of these rather condescending posts was, if you're an adult, why are you collecting kids' toys? Well. Screw them, first off. Yeah. And secondly, everyone has a collection. Everyone has a passion about something, whether it's action figures, Funko Pops, Legos, cars, sports memorabilia.
Yes.
You know, guns, vinyl records, sneakers. You have something. And if it's something that, and you said it like right literally before we started, the show. If it's something that brings you joy, who's to say that they're wrong, basically? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And it makes me kind of sad to see people being kind of snarky and condescending about that type of thing, because I've seen people, it may just be a small action figure, but it reminds you of your childhood, good memories of playing with your friends and your siblings.
Yep.
And if that brings you a little bit of joy in your life, especially in a year as crazy as 2020, like, I'm all about that. If it brings you joy, then no one should be shaming you for pursuing that passion.
Ash, we could just call 2020 craptastic. It's okay.
Yes, try to put it delicately, but yes, it's a raging dumpster fire.
It is. And see, you were going to throw your computer into that raging dumpster fire, so we can't have that. So that's why, again, apart from it being a very well-written article, and we're going to post the link to the article at the end of the show.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. It kind of was the typed out version of what this show is about. And I've spoken to collectors, through Facebook and through Instagram and everything. And it makes them feel like, apart from being a show learning about other people's collections, it makes them feel, some people, like they're not alone in collecting. That they are not, yes. Maybe they don't talk to a lot of people, or maybe their coworkers don't, share the same passions. And then you have a show like this, which I enjoy because I'm a huge Superman collector, and Doctor Who and Green Lantern, and starting to bulk up my other things. But you make people feel like they're not alone in the universe. You know?
Oh, exactly. I know, like, in my circle of family and friends, I'm probably the person who's the biggest collector. So that's been the nice thing about online. We talk a lot about the negativity of social media, but through online fan communities, I have found people like, oh, there's tons of people out there who love to
Tons.
collect, cosplay, talk in depth about movies, podcasts. So I
It's
think that's the
awesome.
real power of virtual communication like this, is that you can learn, yep, you're not the only one, and there are other people who would love to hear about the same things you're passionate about.
Speaking of passions and things that you're passionate about, as per your T-shirt, you are here to talk about your collection of Star Wars stuff, and you all even mentioned cosplaying, and you cosplay as well.
Yes. So I have quite a few geek interests. I like superheroes, pretty much anything sci fi, but Star Wars is my big passion.
Okay.
It's the thing that I always come back to and am most interested in. So I dabble in a lot of different stuff surrounding that. I have a couple different cosplays. Actually, I have three different cosplays of Rey
Okay.
using different costumes. And then I have a Jedi costume as well. I have been sad not getting to go to cons this
Yeah.
year to use those costumes, but looking forward to in the future, I think is a really fun. And I also enjoy making my own costumes, so that adds
That's
a little bit
huge.
extra pride and something fun for me to
It
do.
really should. I've been jealous of people online. I belong to a couple cosplay, Facebook groups and Instagram stuff, and I'm always jealous of people who are able to make their own costumes, whether they're you know master seamstresses, or they work well with all the foam stuff, or just they have the eye for it. I mean, I the folks who have all designed my costumes and done my costumes for me, I give them, even if they just dabble in it, the most credit in the world, because they have the eye for it. And that's something, I mean, I like picture, I want that, and then they make it. But you could do that, which is phenomenal. It's awesome.
And I definitely learned a lot and made a lot of mistakes over the years. I started off very simple. I think one of my first cosplays was just a plain like black athletic shirt and then a shield patch for Black Widow. And then like gradually built up from then towards where I made a cape and bought like a custom lightsaber. So if
It's
you
awesome.
dip your toes into cosplay, it will just suck you in, and then your costumes are never done. You're always going to be tweaking and
Always.
adding stuff to them.
God, it's so true. It's so true. There's so many variants of all these costumes and everything. You could do
Yes.
this forever. So, Ash, how did you get into Star Wars? Why Star Wars and why Rey?
Well, you know what's kind of funny is I'm not entirely sure why exactly I latched on to Star Wars so much. It was just I think the franchise that appealed to me. As a kid, I was always interested in space, the moon landing, that kind of thing from a historical
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. And so space, stars, all of that just kind of fascinated me. And I love the idea of Star Wars being this fantasy universe set in the stars and beyond what people knew and could use their imaginations. And the first Star Wars movie I saw was The Empire Strikes Back and fell absolutely in love with it. And then went back and watched all of them.
Awesome.
But kind of the reason that Rey in the sequel trilogy is special to me is that Disney purchased Lucasfilm right when I was starting to get serious about podcasting, blogging, getting really more into
Mm-hmm.
geek culture. So it felt like I was really a part of that from the ground up. I remember when I heard the news that Disney bought Lucasfilm, there's going to be more movies. Then I remember all the hype and speculation building up to The Force Awakens, and then just seeing all these new movies come out, and then Disney Plus show like The Mandalorian. So it's been cool to really like be a part of that fandom and watch
Yeah.
it grow and develop. And that's kind of why it's special to me. And I just love Rey as a character, like her independence, her strength, and I love the look of her costume. It's really
Mm.
fun to cosplay as. It's comfortable as well. Just kind of a funnier reason why I enjoy her, that it's easy to put on her costume, make it, and get around. It doesn't have a bunch of these complicated like foam armor pieces that you
Yeah.
can't sit down in.
Oh, terrible.
But she just means a lot to me as a character and seeing her journey. And I feel like there's always something new and interesting going on in Star Wars. I also like the books. I'm starting to get more into the comics. I want to get into the video games.
Yeah.
But it's just such this expansive universe that there's so much for you to dive into. And I
Yeah.
love just the depth of storytelling. There's really something in it for everyone, I think.
I think you're right. There definitely is something in it for everyone. Now speaking of obviously Rey, how do you feel about, now spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the Star Wars movies, and if you haven't, shame on you first off. But secondly, it's been long enough that it's been a while. I could talk about this now, so too bad. So how do you feel about the fact that Rey was a progeny, or from the emperors, from Palpatine's family line, as opposed to, there was talk and rumor that she was going to be a Kenobi at some point? How do you feel about which way that went? And were you happy with it?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on that. I would say if I could have chosen, I probably would have liked the idea of Rey being a nobody, that she's just this ordinary person that the Force has chosen for being in the right place at the right time. But
Okay.
I've kind of come around on Rey Palpatine just because I think it's interesting that Palpatine has always been the counterpoint to like the Skywalker family. So you have Kylo Ren over here, who's the villain
Mm-hmm.
that is descended from the heroes, and
Mm-hmm.
then Rey is the hero who's descended from the villain, and kind of how they eventually come together and bring balance to the Force. So I think that storytelling is interesting. I do kind of wish maybe they had hinted at Rey Palpatine in some of the other movies. I know it's impossible to know what went on behind the scenes when they decided that she was going to be a Palpatine, but it maybe would have been better to sprinkle some more hints throughout the movies. But needless to say, I still really like the character, and I like at the end where she chose that she wanted to be known as a Skywalker, that she's going to put this dark side heritage behind her and she gets to choose who she wants to be. And now she's found her found family with the rebellion, Poe and Finn, and all the other members of that. So I did like how they wrapped up her story.
Very good. I agree. I feel like, and again, I know a lot of people feel this way, that the middle one, the Last Jedi, kind of went in a very different path from the original, from The Force Awakens, with regards to like certain writing and stuff. And I feel like, as you said, we don't know what went on a lot behind the scenes. And I feel like there was talk, as I had said before, that Rey's lineage was at first maybe going to be an unknown, and then it was going to be somebody, and then it was a Kenobi, and then they're like, nah, Palpatine, like you said, was good. And that's a good breakdown, I think, of potentially, showing the light and the dark, the yin and the yang, about how they winds up bringing balance to the Force. And I dig that. It's a very, very good point.
Yeah, I Jedi Force stuff is my favorite part of the Star Wars universe. So I'm just really fascinated about that, and the pull between the light and the dark, and the idea that you have to acknowledge that we all have some inside of us. And
Hmm.
that's maybe where the Jedi and the Sith have both failed throughout the Star Wars history, that you really have to learn to acknowledge that both sides of that dichotomy are in you. So hopefully Rey can lead the Jedi Order into a better future. But I would like to see more storytelling with her, but who knows? Maybe a book down the line
I
I'd
think
like
you're
to
going to
see.
wind up seeing the books in some of the comics. I know that they're kind of, at least because of the popularity of the Mandalorian, they're kind of, we're not going to probably see a movie for a minute.
I
So
think you're right.
I think you're more likely, especially because there were so many people who were fans of Rey. I think you are going to more likely see a comic book, graphic novel, some sort of regular novel written about her, if there aren't already. I mean, I haven't really read any of the new stuff. I was a fan of always the old universe before
Oh yeah,
Disney bought
Legends.
out. You know, as I've talked with a guest on another Star Wars guest about the same stuff, and he brought up pretty much the same point that you kind of were alluding to, is that it's neat that it's such a gigantic universe that you
Oh,
could pretty much
exactly.
you could pretty much dip your toe in at any point, whether it's with the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, or like the newer trilogy, and you could go back. It's like Doctor Who. It's like anything. Like you could start at a certain point, or even reading comics. It starts at a certain point, and you can either work backwards or you could just continue forwards. It's really neat.
Oh, it is. And I really appreciated what your previous guest said. I liked that. Of course, Disney has made Legends non-canon now, but the stories are still there. They're still great. So I highly encourage people to go back and check them out. And it's really just all different versions of the same story. Like with the Marvel comics, they're always doing different timelines
Mm-hmm.
and different things happening. So I
Right.
think that both are valid, and I encourage people to check them both out, because for a long time I feel like the expanded universe was all I thought I'd ever get. I didn't
Yeah.
think I'd see episodes 7, 8, and 9. So the fact that we have all those, and I'm getting to watch The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, like this is even better than I had ever imagined. So I can't really complain at all.
I wish DC would take a page from from Disney and everything with regards to their some of their superhero properties. But I think that moving forward, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more films and television shows and stuff with them. So I hope that because I'm obviously, as you could tell, I'm a small DC fan. So I'd like to see other properties do the same thing like Star Wars did, where they're multi expansive across every medium.
Same here.
So all right, so being a collector, I had asked you if you could bring on a couple items for a little bit of a show and tell, if you will. So what do you have for the
Yes.
class?
Well, it was very hard because I wanted to like bring everything in here and show it, but that I'm not going to take all these wonderful people's full day. So I brought a couple favorite pieces. The first one I want to talk about is I got a chance to go to Star Wars. Oh, sorry, I've got some of my
That's all right.
memorabilia falling down there. But at Star Wars Celebration last year, I got to have this book signed by my favorite Star Wars author, Claudia Gray. And not
Oh,
only
wow.
is she my favorite Star Wars author, but just the fact that I got to have it signed at my very first Star Wars celebration meant a lot to me.
Oh, yeah.
And in case anyone hasn't read this book, it was one of the books that was published in the lead up to The Force Awakens. And it's about these two original characters, two friends that grow up and join the Imperial Army, but then one defects and goes to the rebellion and how they kind of navigate that. And their story interweaves with the events of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And it's just a really great book. Claudia
Just
Gray.
bring it a little more in front of you, because the way, there we go. Just because the way the screen crops out, I want to make sure that people see this. It's called Lost Stars, in case anybody can't see that. But if you can't, then look a little closer or read or watch this episode again, because I'm okay with the extra watches.
Yes, there you go. But Claudia Gray is my favorite author of the new Star Wars canon books.
Okay.
I think she does a really great job. She really gets Star Wars on a deep philosophical level. She writes a fun adventure, but also does a great job really digging into characters' psychology. And her books are just great. If I ever see Claudia Gray on a Star Wars novel, it doesn't even matter what it's about. I will pick it up and read it. But that's my favorite book of hers, and I really enjoy getting to visit with her at Star Wars Celebration.
How many books has she done?
She has done, oh gosh, probably about 4 or 5. She's written 2 books on Princess Leia that are excellent. She has written a book about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Really?
And I will say that the prequels aren't my personal most favorite part of Star Wars, but that book is excellent. So regardless of how you feel about all that, I would highly recommend it. It's called Master and Apprentice.
Awesome.
But she is a great first entry point. If you haven't read any of the new canon stuff and were a fan of Legends, she's a great first of the new authors to check out.
Awesome. What else you got?
All right. So this next piece I have is a Porg.
Of course.
And so I had to bring Porgs to talk about because this is probably my funniest little Star Wars obsession.
Okay.
So my very first Porg that I got was actually before I'd even seen The Last Jedi. I saw the trailer and thought that Porgs were just adorable. And I saw Target advertised they had a plush one available for Christmas, and I decided I had to get it. My husband told me, "You haven't even seen the movie yet. You don't know if you like it." And I told him, "I don't care." And so I have just started collecting Porgs over the years. I've gotten a couple from Build-A-Bear.
Oh, wow.
I've got a suction cup one that sticks in the window of my car, so it's like it's peeking out of the Millennium Falcon window.
Like the
so
old
that's
Garfield.
kind of
Like the old Garfield that
Yes.
used to...
Exactly. And then my husband and I have what we jokingly call our vacation porg. It's a little porg about that size, and we take him with him whenever we go on vacation and take pictures with him. So
That's
he's
awesome.
been pictures of him at the ocean in Hawaii. He's been to the mountains in Colorado. He's been with me to Dragon Con in Atlanta and Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. So that's just kind of a fun little running joke
That's
we
great.
have. But this one is one of my favorites because I'm going to try turning him on here. His wings flap, and he makes a little sound.
That's awesome.
So it cracks me up. This is probably my favorite one that I own. And it's just kind of a fun little quirky thing to collect because I feel like, there are common things people might collect Darth Vader stuff or Boba Fett stuff, but I enjoy Porgs because it's kind of a weird, quirky little obsession that not everybody does. So
That's very true. But it's neat that you bring them on vacations and stuff. So you have like a whole ton of pictures of these, like of like the Porg going to different states and events and stuff.
yes. Probably my favorite was when we took him to Hawaii. We got him a little flower necklace so he looked like he was enjoying life on the beach. So
You know what? I'm gonna dress up like a Porg next time. Then you could put me in a lei, and I'll sit on the beach.
there you go. It's like find easy time finding volunteers to go to Hawaii. So glad we went last year before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, everything I hope next year will be a little bit more, visitor friendly. So
Yes.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. So did your the things that fell off camera, did they survive? Are they okay?
Yes, it did. So I tried to have everything nicely set up on the table here, but The next piece that I would like to show is one tradition that I've tried to start is every time I go to a con, I like to buy a piece of artwork
Awesome.
from a artist that's selling their pieces there, just because I like to support that. And I think there's so many talented people,
Oh my
and
God.
I enjoy having unique geek artwork, stuff that you can't necessarily find anywhere else. And my favorite pieces that I have
Oh
are this
yeah.
twin set of Rey and Kylo Ren. I'll show the other one here.
That's so neat. How'd they draw me into the frame? That's so cool that I'm in the picture.
There
How did
you
they
go. Yes,
do that?
the frame is a little bit reflective there. But the artist's name is Michael Matsumoto.
Matsumoto.
And part of the reason I like these pieces is because Rey and Kylo Ren, along with Darth Vader, are my favorite Star Wars characters. And I like how these pieces pair well together. You see the comparison
Mm-hmm.
and contrast between these two characters. And the interesting thing about these is that these pieces were done for The Force Awakens, but I think they really do a great job of communicating that dyad concept that was introduced in episode 9, how they're both kind of two sides of the
Mm-hmm.
same coin representing two sides of the Force. So great job to that artist for kind of guessing how the plot was going to go in the next two movies. But they're just beautiful artworks. They're not signed right now. Someday I would love to go to a con where the artist is at and get his signature on them. But they're some of my favorite pieces,
That's
and
so.
I
They're
really
really
like them.
neat.
I would love for the artist to do a series of similar portraits from like episode 8 and 9 using those characters in their different looks. But I am really glad to have these. They're also special because my dad bought them for me. I had seen them and wanted them, but didn't like have enough money to get them at the time, so he surprised me with them. So that is a little
Good job, Dad.
special. Yes, and my dad is probably the one I got my geekiness from. He's
Really?
really into Star Trek and like grew up liking the original Star Trek and Star Wars. So I kind of have inherited that from him. So we like to go to cons together and talk about geeky stuff. So
That's so
it's
cool.
kind of a nice reminder of our relationship and how we like to do geek stuff together.
Oh, I mean, if your dad's a huge Star Trek fan, now I gotta have him on the show as well. Now he's got to
Yeah,
come on.
so we like to have a kind of gentle teasing, like I'm Star Wars and he's Star Trek. We like both, but we like to give each other some gentle ribbing about which Star franchise is better.
That's great. That's awesome. Good. See, I like stuff like that, and that's awesome that you got that from your dad. So, anything else? Or
Yes.
yes, what else you
So
got?
the final piece is actually not Star Wars related, but I wanted to show it because it kind of shows a different side of my collecting. I really like to craft, and so I
Love it.
enjoy bringing my geekiness into like sewing and crafting projects. I've made a geek quilt, and a recent hobby that I picked up this year is doing crochet.
These are
So these are
fantastic.
some Game of Thrones pieces I've made. This one, of course, is Daenerys. I enjoyed doing her because she has
Oh,
complicated
the
braids. So I wanted
braids.
to try to
Yeah.
replicate that. I've also done Jon Snow with his fur cape.
Oh, wow.
And then I've got Sansa Stark. The Starks are my favorite of the houses in Game of Thrones, so I had to do a bunch of them. And then, of course, a little dragon to go with Dany.
That's very cute. That's
But
awesome.
crocheting is something that's really kind of helped me through this year when a
Okay.
lot of things have been canceled, extra time at home,
Yeah.
and looking for stuff to pass the time. So I've always kind of wanted to do it, and it took me several tries to get going. There were many times where I failed the project, had to unravel all the yarn and start over again. But it was really satisfying when it finally clicked for me. And then I enjoy making these little figures. I've done several Star Wars ones, of course. I've done some Star Trek, and it's a fun, fairly inexpensive, easy hobby to do. So I've enjoyed getting to make them, and I like adding them to my collection because I feel like there's an extra sense of pride in being able to say like, hey,
Yeah.
like I made
You did
these
that,
are
right.
unique, and it
Yep.
brings back the happy memories of times I spent. Like it's easy to just throw on Netflix, relax, and start crocheting. So
That's
I have
fantastic.
enjoyed getting to do that and kind of add some of those pieces to my collection. So I'm sure I'm looking for my next crochet theme to find. I would like to do some of the Marvel Avengers characters next, maybe.
You know, I'm sure that there's probably also, not that you're looking to start selling them yet, but there's probably anybody, I could guarantee there's at least one person who's now seen you just show them off, who's like, I would buy those. I would buy those from her if she sold them. I can guarantee it. I'm going to get a message after this, and someone's going to tell me that they would buy them if you sold them. Telling you, they're beautiful. They're very well
Well,
done, and
thank you.
they're,
Thank you.
and again, like even the intricacies on the dress, the design on the dress, the braids, like you said, it's tough work. Like my grandmother did like needlepoint work, like many, many moons ago. And it was always just something that you have to have not only the eye for, but also the patience for. If you do make
Yes.
a mistake and you have to rip it out and redo stuff, it's something, very good with your hands and very good with your eyes. It's tough work. So kudos to you.
And I think it's good. It's really soothing, especially like it occupies your mind
Mm-hmm.
and your hands.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially in this year when there's a lot going on, it's super relaxing and fun to do. So, I've got quite a few crochet things. So, I'm working on making some for Christmas gifts and things
Oh
like that.
yeah, those are awesome gifts. Again, and what do you have to do? You buy yarn, and you already have the needles and everything, so you're good to go.
Exactly. It's pretty easy to whip up. You can do it in a couple days or a week, and
That's
it's a fun
fantastic.
hobby. So, if anyone's looking for a fun geek hobby, crochet is a pretty easy way to get started.
That's fantastic. All right, so going back to your collection, even Game of Thrones stuff included. If you had now, I always talk about grails. I talk about grail pieces on this show. Things that you would love to have that ultimate piece if money wasn't an object, and you could travel to a galaxy far, far away, or have a TARDIS or a phone booth or something, and you could get that piece that you want. That would be the pinnacle collection in your collection. What would that piece be for you? What's your grail piece?
I would love to have a prop that was actually used in the filming of a Star Wars movie related to Rey's character. Like, I would just be over the moon. Probably my top choice. I would love to have Rey's new yellow saber from the end of The Rise of Skywalker. I love that it reuses part of the pieces from
Mm-hmm.
her staff because I think that fits really well with her scavenger character,
Mm-hmm.
that she's going to reuse that. And just because the yellow is such a unique color,
Yes.
I would love to have that film prop. I'm probably sure I will never ever get to have it, but that would make me so happy. And even a replica I would be content with. So I don't think Disney has or Lucasfilm has come out with an official replica of that saber yet, but I'm keeping
Probably
my
not.
eye on it.
Yeah, and if I'm sure if you find it and Lucasfilms doesn't and Disney films don't, they're sometimes they're not too enthusiastic on the replicas, the non-sanctioned replicas. So they'll send Mickey Mouse to somebody's house to go burn it down if they find the
Yes,
replicas.
it will disappear. So
It'll disappear faster than Luke going into the Force.
yes.
So all right, we are up to the my favorite part actually of any episode, where I ask everyone, which has been including myself, if you only had one shelf in your house, your room, apartment, flat, basement, attic, anywhere in between, and you were only allowed 3 items on said shelf, what would be those 3 items from your collection? It could be anything. I know you, as we've said, I know you're majorly Star Wars, but you also you dabble in other genres and other. What would they be?
I agonized for this question over a long time, even more than like what for show and tell items I'm going to bring, just because it's hard to narrow it down, like what means the most to you. But
Yeah.
I would probably keep that signed copy of Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, just because it's my favorite author and the added memory of going to Star Wars Celebration.
Good one.
I have a remote control BB-8 that's about knee height that my dad got for me as well, and it's remote controlled and has some voice response. So we like to take him with us. We have like a little baby carriage, and
Yeah.
he sits in that and goes with us to con. So although sometimes I kind of get annoyed at it because it almost upstages me in my costume, people are more interested in the BB-8 in the stroller than the costume that I worked hard on.
Yeah.
But he's always a big hit, and that's just really fun. And I think they've discontinued that model, so I would want to keep that because I probably couldn't find him again. And then probably a piece of one of my Star Wars artworks, one that I've gotten signed, just because that's a special memory of getting to meet the
Yeah.
artist and having them autograph it. So that would be hard to give it up, but it's really hard to narrow it down to 3.
It's
because
very
there's
hard.
So much I want to squeeze on that shelf to keep.
I'm actually gonna add a 4th thing to your shelf. I'm gonna put your dad on that shelf because your dad seems pretty freaking awesome. So
Oh, yes.
so we're gonna seal your dad in a action figure box, and he's going right on that shelf next to those other 3 pieces. Sorry,
There you
Dad.
go. Yes. It's really fun to have like a close friend or family member that's as passionate about geek stuff as you are, and it's fun to share that kind of tradition and relationship. We're looking forward to hopefully being able to cosplay at cons next year. He has a new Star Trek outfit, and I have a new Rey outfit that will hopefully get to debut next year. But
You will. I have every confidence in the world that we are going to be at least back to some sort of going to cons within parameters that everyone are comfortable with, and cities and jurisdictions are safe with having. But I have a feeling we'll be back because I've, again, like you, I have a ton of different costumes that I want to start busting out for shows. So it kind of stinks, but you know, you don't want to get anybody sick at this point.
That's right. Yes, it'll be worth it when we're all able to get back together. And it's fun to imagine like the first cons that people get to go to are going to be an even bigger, more fun party because everyone's so excited to be
Huge
together
party!
again.
Holy crap! All the Zoom stuff is swell for making connections and stuff, but to actually get back into like the physical world where we're like taking pictures with each other again, like we were at shows before, can't wait.
Yes, something to look forward to.
It's really going to be good. So Ashley, I really want to thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's been really swell. Again, I'm very happy to be part of this. Earth Station One network. It's fantastic. I hope now that meeting you and starting to see more about what you folks are about. I want to be more involved. So this has been not only mutually beneficial, but I'm going to be selfish and say that I'm really happy to be part of this too.
Oh, I know. And ESO is has been so amazing for me. I remember when I first did a podcast with them, I was so nervous. I think I probably said maybe like 5 sentences total, but they've been just so encouraging and wonderful and helping me grow in confidence. So I owe a lot to them, and I really enjoyed getting to meet them in person at Dragon Con a couple years ago, and hope to see them again. But they're great people, so I highly recommend them. It's a good group of folks.
Good, excellent. And we're going to post links to everything, so like-minded folks such as yourself and myself who are interested can check them out as well. And folks, thank you for watching. It's always appreciated. If you haven't done so yet, I know everyone's tired of me pointing down below the screen, but subscribe. Just have to do it once. It's great content. It's a fun time. Just ask Ashley. But if you have a collection that you are interested in coming on and talking about, if you have a passion or you're passionate about something, please contact me. It's fun. It's a real chill time. I'm looking for Marvel fans, vinyl records, sneakerheads. If you have something that you love, artwork, something, get in touch with me. But until next time, have a great one, and we'll talk soon.